Hello and welcome to the Disney Princess History series. In this video, I will be exploring the only official Disney princess whose film was created by Pixar Studios, Merida. Unlike most of the other Disney princesses, Brave is not based on a pre-existing story, whether real or imagined. Brave is Pixar's first fairy tale. It's an original story from writer-director Brenda Chapman. Chapman says it's a fairy tale in the tradition of Hans Christian Andersen and the Brothers Grimm, set in Scotland. She took her love of those two things and combined them with her love of her young daughter and came up with this story. Brave is set in a fantasy version of medieval Scotland around the 10th century. The fact that Merida is a strong woman may actually be quite accurate. We know very little about women in medieval Scotland, but those we do know about seem to have been pretty feisty. There's Euphemia, a Countess of Ross in her own right in the 14th century, and Agnes Randolph, Countess of Dunbar, who defended Dunbar Castle during the 1330s. Disney probably set Brave in the 10th century because that's the last time Scotland had any bears. Unfortunately, there aren't any surviving Scottish folk tales that feature bears. However, there are a few stories from Andersen and the Brothers Grimm about men who have been turned into bears by witches or other magic workers. In all of these stories, a young and beautiful woman looks past the bear's fearsome appearance. This proves she is a worthy bride once he turns back into a handsome prince. The witch herself is a villain in countless fairy tales. Morgan le Fay, who's probably Welsh in origin, was a positive figure who helped and healed King Arthur until the 13th century. The wisps do appear in Scottish folklore, although they are also in folklore throughout most of Europe. Usually they are depicted as a single light that appears in the marshes, luring travellers into dangerous areas. Once the traveller gets close, the wisp moves further away, staying out of reach. Sometimes the light is actually the lamp of an evil spirit, who eventually puts it out and leaves the traveller in the dark. It's also likely that Chapman and the Pixar creative team took some inspiration from Brave Margaret, a children's retelling of a 19th century Gaelic folktale by Robert Sansucci and Sally Worm-Comport. Brave was first announced under the title of The Bear and the Bow. Chapman was supposed to be the film's sole director and Pixar's first female director. It was later reported that Pixar had replaced Chapman with Mark Andrews. Both Andrews and Chapman are both credited as the movie's directors. Although the production of the film started in 2008, Brenda Chapman had already begun work years earlier. As early as 2006, several members of the crew made a research trip in Scotland. They made 2 trips, travelling widely, researching the landscape. In an early scene, Merida scales a rocky outcrop that's clearly modelled on Cairngorm granite, right down to the colour and texture, and more ancient prehistoric standing stones, from the Ringa Brugar on Orkney to the Callanish stones on Lewis. They photographed and sketched the mix of water and hills, forest and mountains, the forest in the film being a realistic blend of Scots pine and birch, but it only reflects the highlands. That ties in with the view since Queen Victoria, that of a bare, rugged land inhabited by wild men in kilts. Animators were introduced to the weapons used in the film in order to understand their working. Some went into archery classes, while Andrews taught sword fighting to animators. To make the most complex visuals possible, Pixar completely rewrote their animation system for the first time in 25 years. Originally, Reese Witherspoon was scheduled to voice Merida, but later she was unable to work on the film due to scheduling issues and failing to master a Scottish accent. So she had to leave and was replaced by Scottish actor Kelly MacDonald as a result. The film's score to Brave was composed by Patrick Doyle. To bring some of Scotland's native flavour to the music, Doyle used native Scottish instruments. The film features 3 original songs: Touch the Sky and Into the Open Air, both performed by Julie Fowles. Mumford & Sons contributed the song Learn Me Right with Birdie to the film's soundtrack. The film had its British premiere at the Edinburgh International Film Festival on June 30th, 2012, in which yours truly attended. Brave received mostly positive reviews, and the film won the Golden Globe Award, the BAFTA Award, and the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. It is dedicated to Steve Jobs, who passed away on October 5th, 2011. Her first and primary dress is made up of a cream-coloured linen chemise and a dark blue wool kirtle that she wears on the top. Merida's dark blue overdress has slit sleeves that reveal the gathered cream-coloured underdress at her shoulders and elbows. The underdress is also visible at the bottom of the sleeves and around the neckline. Merida's fiery red hair is left loose and she wears ankle-height brown leather shoes. Linen was a very common fabric during the Middle Ages because it was comfortable when worn as a layer against the skin. Wool was also very common because it was warm during the cold winters. Linen was made from flax plants and wool was spun from sheep and sometimes goats. Merida's second dress is made of a sky blue satin or silk. It is the typical kirtle style with long fitted sleeves, a fitted bodice and a flared skirt. The dress also has a gold panel around the hem, as well as gold trim around the neckline and tips of the sleeves. Merida's wild hair is tamed in the form of a wimple, a cloth headpiece that covered the neck and hair. Merida was the first Disney princess to have no love interest. Designers created a tartan for Merida's Clan Dunbroch, and it's really official. The design first appeared on the Scottish Registry of Tartans on the movie's release date in 2012. Disney gave Merida's image an overhaul less than a year after her debut, giving her bigger eyes, a slimmer waist, and more luscious locks. They also removed her trademark bow and arrow. Fans immediately protested the unnecessary makeover, even starting a Change.org petition to change her back. Disney responded saying the original Merida would be sticking around, saying this rendition of her party dress was a special one-time effort to commemorate her coronation. A simulator named Taz was built specifically to give Merida 1,500 wild curls that moved and bounced the way they do in the real world. Merida was added to the Disney Princess lineup as the 11th princess on May 11, 2013, becoming the first Pixar character to receive the honour. Tia Crater, responsible for Merida's initial character design, has admitted that Merida was based on British model and actress Lily Cole. Merida is the first Pixar character to appear on Once Upon a Time, as well as on Sophia the First. Currently, Merida is a very common character to meet and greet at the various Disney parks. In Disneyland, she meets guests in Fantasy Fair. In Magic Kingdom, she can be found at Fairy Tale Garden. In Disneyland Paris, she meets guests in Frontierland. She also appears at Tokyo Disney Sea during Pixar Playtime. Merida is a very bold, brave, daring, courageous, stubborn, rebellious and headstrong girl who does not fit the stereotypical princess role. Rather than being a damsel in distress who's subservient to the customs, traditions and social restrictions society places on her, Merida openly rebels and defies her heritage as a princess and would like for nothing more than to be a normal girl. In the next episode of this series, we'll be focusing on Disney's protagonists Elsa and Anna and their film Frozen. Is Merida your favourite Disney princess? Was there anything new that you learned about her film? Please like, comment and subscribe for more Disney related projects on my channel. Thank you for watching.